Get cancer will be, like me, survivors. So here's the title I give to this little talk. There is hope. Theme you're going to hear throughout this whole event. Everybody's journey and story with cancer is different. This is my story from the first diagnosis up till now. I have a form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, follicular lymphoma. It's a blood cancer, similar to one of the other blood cancers like leukemia. I was first diagnosed 6 years ago in 2009. Since then, I've had many scans, blood tests, and bone marrow tests, and treatments. Now, here's a bit of personal advice for anybody who has to have any scans done. You know that for PET scans or CT scans, you have to drink a bottle of this thick barium solution, which now comes in several flavors. Well, here's my advice. Go for the mixed berry. Forget the banana flavor. It's no good. Now, I'm waiting for chocolate milkshake flavor, but we're not there yet, but I'm still hopeful. Anyway, back to 6 years ago. The day after I had just completed a complete physical with my family physician, I discovered an enlarged lymph node in my groin area. I called the doctor, who did not seem real concerned, and said that I should just watch it for a while and see if there's any change. Well, I watched for several months, and about 5 months later, the node had gotten bigger and started to hurt a little bit. So it was back to the doctor, and then to a surgeon for a biopsy. The surgeon took about 2 weeks to get back to me with the biopsy results, and he called me with the result, told me that I had a form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then he used the C word. He said that it was a form of blood cancer. And when you're first told or hear that you have cancer, when you hear the C word applied to yourself, you go through a whole range of emotions and feelings. Betty Rollin wrote a book about her experience with malignant breast cancer several years ago. Her book is called First You Cry. Now, crying may be a common response for women, but for a lot of men who don't cry easily, the response may be more like, first you swear. Well, that was my response. When I told my family doctor the kind of cancer that I had, she smiled and said, follicular lymphoma? Oh, you got the good kind. This was an unusual kind of attitude, I thought, that any kind of cancer that could be the good kind. Much later, I learned what she meant by the good kind, that my cancer was a slow-growing kind that is very treatable, but it is not curable. Yet, there is hope. So my surgeon referred me to an oncologist, and my journey as a cancer patient began. Seeing the oncologist, one of the first things he told me was that this was going to be like a marathon, not a sprint. Meaning there was not going to be a quick fix, and that I'd be dealing with it for a long time. 6 years after my diagnosis and treatment, I did have one treatment with Rituxan, which is not chemo, but a biological agent. I was okay for about 3 years after that. My symptoms returned, and I had really bad blood counts, and I started losing weight really badly. Around that time, unfortunately, we were moving from where we were down in Medford up to this area, and I found my way to Hackensack Medical Center, the John Thoreau Cancer Center, and to Dr. Andre Goy. His name is spelled G-O-Y, and you wouldn't think that that's the pronunciation just from looking at that, but I figured out a way to pronounce his name. I told him, I don't think he appreciated it, but I said, it's just like guacamole without the camole. So that's Dr. Goy. Anyway, when he first saw me in the first visit, I must have looked really worried. I was really thin. And he said several times throughout the visit, don't worry, you'll be fine. We'll take care of you, and you'll feel much better. I think he could see that I had a hard time believing him, so to make sure I got the message, he sat up on the examining table beside me, right up against my bony shoulder, and he kept nudging me, kind of bumping me hard, and said, don't worry, you'll be fine. Okay, I get the message. Well, eventually I had a series of 6 treatments with a chemo cocktail called R-CHOP from October 2013 to February 2014.